5:30, we are taking a closer look at some legislation up for debate at the State House. Several bills that are coming up in the General Assembly deal with elections, and we've learned several will be heard in the House Judiciary next week. Eyewitness News State House insider John Laughlin joins us with analysis on what these bills mean for Rhode Islanders. John?
Great. Well, next Wednesday in the House Judiciary Committee will be Elections Day, with an inventory of no less than a dozen bills dealing with how, when, and what happens when Rhode Islanders go to the polls in 2012 and beyond.
And what are some of those highlights?
Well, Tiverton Democrat John Edwards has legislation that would require town financial meetings to comply with all of the state election laws. Now, currently, they're exempt. And South Kingston Democrat Don Lally and Pawtucket Democrat Patty O'Neill both have bills that would close polls in Rhode Island at 8 p.m. rather than 9 p.m. And I can tell you from experience, the polls are pretty quiet places from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And lastly, Bristol Democrat Raymond Gallison has legislation that he introduced on behalf of Secretary of State Ralph Mollis that would make it easier for service members to vote by absentee ballot as well.
Those bills seem kind of procedural. Are there any that are controversial on the docket?
Yeah, well, potentially. House Judiciary Chairman and Providence Democrat Edith Agello has a bill that would loosen rules on counting those provisional ballots. Now, right now, if for whatever reason you show up at the polls as not being registered or can't provide evidence that you're in the correct polling place, oftentimes you're not turned away. You're allowed to fill out what's called a provisional ballot. And that ballot's basically set aside and not counted unless the total number of provisional ballots could affect the outcome of the race. Rep. Agello's bill loosens those rules, making it potentially more of those provisional ballots count right from the very beginning.
So that could make a difference in some of those close races.
It certainly could.
All right, John, thanks so much for your analysis tonight.
Thank you.